tips. Hi, my name is Corinne from D's, and I'm here today to talk about bead tips, also known as clamshells. For this project, you can use the bead tips two different ways. You can use crimp beads and bead stringing wire, or you can use nylon cord and knot it at the ends. This is perfect for stringing pearls, as typically with pearls you want them to flow a little bit more. So you can place them on the nylon cord, which is going to be more flexible than the bead stringing wire. To use the bead tips or clamshells with crimp beads, you will need a crimp bead, a clamshell, and your bead stringing wire. Bead tips or clamshells have two sides to them, with a hole on the bottom side and two holes on the top side, with two cups in between. The cups are what are going to hold either your crimp bead or a knot. And this hole at the bottom side of the finding is where the nylon thread or your bead stringing wire will go through. To use the clamshell with a crimp bead, place the clamshell with the two open loops facing the end of whatever you're going to make your bracelet or your necklace. And the hole is going to be facing inward. Next, place your crimp bead on the end and use needle nose pliers. You don't have to use a crimp tool because this isn't going to show, to smash your crimp bead. You can use glue in here if you like. I typically recommend adding a little bit of glue inside the clamshell just to give you some extra security. Once you've got your glue in the clamshell, you're going to use your needle nose pliers to squeeze those two cups of the clamshell finding closed. You want to make sure that the two loops on the outside are going to line up so that you can attach a jump ring to the end to attach your clasp. After you've done this, use a pair of wire cutters or nipper tools to cut that excess wire off. Then you can string your beads on and repeat the process on the other side. To use a bead tip or a clamshell on nylon cord, place the bead tip onto the cord in the same way, with the two loops facing outward, and tie a double or a triple knot in your cord. This first side is very easy. You don't have beads to work with, and they're not in the way, and you don't have to worry about getting this knot right up next to the clamshell. Once you've got the knot tied, using a T-pin or a toothpick, take some E6000 glue and place it into the cups on the finding, and make sure that the knot is coated as well. Then, just as with the crimp bead, use your needle nose pliers to close the clamshell. For this one, I usually wait overnight to let the glue dry before I cut my tail off. Then we'll string our beads, and I'll show you how to finish this off on the other side. Once you have your beads strung, place the second clamshell finding onto the bracelet or necklace. On this side, you have to make your knot so that it stays all the way down here inside the 2 cups on the clamshell or bead tip finding without having any gaps in between your beads. This is not always an easy task, but it's made easier by using a simple embroidery needle to guide the knot down into the clamshell. You'll start your knot, just a simple overhand knot, as close to the clamshell finding as you can. Leave the knot open and slide a needle, an embroidery needle, something that's rather thick, into the knot, and use that to pull or push that knot down inside the clamshell. And you can see that my needle is in between the 2 cups of the clamshell. Check to be sure that you don't have any gaps in your bracelet, but that you haven't gotten it so tight that it doesn't move. Remove the needle from the knot, and then I take my pliers and make sure that knot is nice and tight. I like to do 2 knots because although the hole in the clamshell or bead tip finding is rather small, you don't want to make sure, or you don't want to have that knot be too small and it go through that hole. So again, the same thing, get the knot as close as you can to the bead tip, place it in between the 2 cups on the finding and through the knot, and pull tight. And just secure it with your needle nose pliers. And just as with the other side, use a little bit of E6000 glue. Coat the knot and place it in between the 2 cups. And then close the clamshell finding. So what these clamshells allow you to do with the holes on either end is to attach whatever kind of clasp you want. You'll simply use a jump ring, open it up, and place your clasp onto the end and then close the jump ring, just as we do in some of our other bead tip basic videos. Thank you for watching our bead tip finding video. Please watch our other instructional videos on our YouTube channel.